Hello, this is Soundout here, back with another Transformers review. We last looked at Encore Fortress Maximus, one of the biggest Transformers ever made. Today we're going to look at one of the best Transformers ever made. To some extent. Today we're looking at Transformers Generations Thrilling 30 Sandstorm. This is the Voyager class figure. He is a retool of the very fantastic Voyager class Springer, who was released in Wave 3 of the 2013 Generations, along with Blitzwing. Sandstorm is the lone new figure of Wave 4. So, he is a retool Springer. Does this mean he sucks? Is he as good as Springer, or is he better? Only we can find out together. Quick look at the box. It's your basic Thrilling 30 Generations packaging. He's a triple changer. He's inside the box. You get this very nice artwork. I love to point out artwork on boxes. And he looks very G1. On the bottom, you can see also available is Blitzwing, who I probably will review at some point with Springer. But you can see 02 series number 003. This is because Springer was 1, Blitzwing was 2. On the back, we do have a bio that basically tells you who Sandstorm is. Sandstorm lives for action. His only real fear is a fear of boredom. As a result, he takes unnecessary risks both in combat and out, risks that can sometimes threaten the success of his mission. He lives fast, loud, and dangerously, traits that make him fun to hang out with most of the time, but his fellow Autobots are getting a little sick of his habit of giving away his position to the Decepticons just so he has the opportunity to enjoy a fight. So you can see he has a VTOL aircraft and a dune buggy and a robot. What more could you really ask for? So that is the packaging for Sandstorm. So, is this figure as good or better than Springer? Let's find out. So we're going to start in Sandstorm's robot mode because he's packaged in robot mode. Makes the most sense, I guess. We'll get back to robot mode at the end of the video as we go through the transformations, but we're going to take a look at it now just to kind of look at the robot mode. Again, I like to do things in the order intended by the packaging, which means from here we'll go to the VTOL helicopter mode, and then we'll go to the dune buggy. So if you want to skip through the video to those parts, go ahead. I do not mind. I'm just glad you're watching my video. So, here is Sandstorm. Now, looking at the figure alone, without looking at him as a Springer retool, you can see he's got a very nice head sculpt. It's not the visor look, but it's the open face look. I forget which one's the G1 toy and which is the cartoon. I think the open face was the cartoon. But I do like it. It's a nice head sculpt. You got some blue light piping that works pretty well overall. You just get it at the right light, and he's like, I'm here. But it can cause dead-eye syndrome if you have him at the wrong angle. You can see his chest here's got an Autobot logo. It's nice and compact. The arms are not too bulky, and they're not too thin either. They're just nice, rounded out very well. His shoulders look very nice. He's got his wings on his back from the VTOL helicopter. You can see his legs are a very nice shape. They're very sturdy. He's got a permanent ankle tilt, but it doesn't really hinder his posability all that much. But he does get a bit difficult to stand. He's a little back heavy because of these big things. But overall, you can see that the robot mode is very nice. It's thin, compact, but not looking scrawny. Now, for articulation, he's got the ball jointed head, which can move very much. He's got these ball jointed shoulders, which are they're more universal shoulders, actually. He's got a ratcheted elbow joint. He's got a bicep swivel. He's got a wrist swivel, and the wrist can kind of pivot in a bit. He's got a waist joint. He's got the hip movement. He's got the thigh swivel, ratcheted knees, which I love. And you can adjust his foot a bit. It can click back, but to no actual accomplishments. So once you get him balanced, he looks really nice, and you can have him for any battle-ready pose, you could say. Though once you get him balanced, he's good to go. That's a stupid pose, so I'm going to have him stand up again. Now, he does not come with, he only comes with one weapon. Springer came with 2, but Springer kind of needed 2. Let's see if I can get Sandstorm to balance. Getting him to balance is the hardest part of the toy, and his face does not want to show up sometimes. That would be one complaint, is that the face sculpt is black with the white face and the blue eyes, so the eyes do get lost sometimes. But you can see there, he fell over. That is probably my biggest complaint with the toy, is that he's unbalanced. So once you get in balance, because the heel spurs don't want to stay. Once you get in balance, you're good to go. Now, it does come with one weapon, like I said. It is this gun. It's yellow and black. You pull back this black part. It shoots a pressure launch missile that doesn't really go very far. Doesn't really, I know. So you got that going on. But overall, not too bad. He does have a little handle here. That does allow him to hold it if he doesn't fall over. I've noticed he stands better with the gun than without the gun. So there you go. That's your basic Sandstorm robot mode. Not much to it overall, but really, really neat. I do like it. Now let's do the thing that you've been waiting for, the comparison. Let's bring in Mr. Springer. Now Springer, here you can see, they're about the same. Now Springer's only kibble thing is that he's got these little panels here. I like to put them there. They can go other places. And Springer does have a double barrel missile launcher, and he has a sword. Now the sword was helicopter rotors for Springer. These are his VTOLs, so that kind of replaced that. Now Springer does have these optional shoulder bits that can move and compact, which are not present on Sandstorm. Springer's face also shows up better. He doesn't have Deadeye syndrome as badly, because you can still see he has eyes. Now, his chest is basically the same, but overall, I think for robot mode, Springer wins on this one because he doesn't fall over, he's not back heavy, and his face sculpt I think is overall better. That does not mean Sandstorm has a bad robot mode. Sandstorm has a really great robot mode. It's one of the better Transform robot modes. I just think that Springer may have done it a bit better. Color scheme wise, I kind of like Sandstorm in this case. But there you go. That's the robot mode. Now moving Springer out of the way, we can go and transform Sandstorm. So transforming Sandstorm is simple enough. We're going to go to the helicopter mode. First you want to remove his gun here, and you can fold away the handle. And we're going to start with the head. Now this is the tricky part. It's easier with Springer. There was a bit of an issue, and that was his head was very pointy. So when you did this, where you have to fold this around and get his head to go into his stomach, that was really tricky with Springer because all the bits that stuck up. This is not so hard. You want to take his legs. They're going to collapse in like this, bringing his feet back like that. Now, doing this, you want to make sure that this, as you can see, bends towards each other, and you'll be good to go. You can flip out the landing gear if you want. Now, with these, you want to fold his hand in here, close that up, straighten his arm out, and bring this section, pegging the shoulder in, bring that back here. Do the same for the other arm, peg in the shoulder, flip open the panel, flip the hand in, close the panel. Now, this is a different transformation when compared to Springer, because Springer would have these fold out, and I'll show this better with Springer, fold out and plug in here. The pegs and stuff are still there. I wouldn't recommend it because it blocks the VTOLs. Speaking of the VTOLs, you want to unplug this from his back. This will come back, and this will click into place with the two arm sections. Holding them down, you want to fold out the wings here, and they'll peg into the back like that. And it's really precise to get the pegs in there, and you may need to be... Whoa! Sorry, we activated an atom bomb. And there you go. There is his helicopter mode. So here's Sandstorm's VTOL helicopter. What makes him a VTOL is these things. They do spin on either side, and this piece can also move slightly, just kind of very briefly. You do have some posability. You can rotate these around and position them however you like. But overall, a very basic helicopter mode that you can't really tell that this turns into a car as well. There's some remnants. It kind of looks like tires. It looks like a grill. But overall, a very convincing transformation. To go further, if you want to arm this guy up, you just got to take his gun here, and it does click into place very particularly. You got to kind of slide that forward into place. Something you kind of have to do on your own, and you really can't be told how to do it. Once you have that, you can see he's all set to go. Now, if you do want the landing gear to retract, they go like that. I prefer them to be out. Now, comparing this to another helicopter mode, namely Springer, you'll notice that the similarities are there. This piece didn't get transformed right. Transformation crew failed on that one. Anyways, as you can see here, you have Springer on the left, Sandstorm on the right. Now, there are two different types of helicopters. This is a VTOL helicopter. This is your standard helicopter. You can see the placement of the gun is the same. And you can tell that this is the way, you can tell they're the same toy. But the fact that all this is new, compared to this, you just get a helicopter blade. That's why Sandstorm doesn't have a sword. And then you have those. They're very different vehicle modes. But I'm going to say Sandstorm wins on this one. Because with Springer here, something's just off about the placement of these wings. They look too much like arms. This looks too much like his legs. With Sandstorm, it's not as obvious. Yeah, the arms are kind of just hanging out back here. But it's different enough from the robot mode that you can tell it's different and new. And I like that quite a bit. When any Transformer can look completely different in all three modes, I appreciate that. Now, again, not to dock Springer, but I don't think the helicopter mode is as clean as it is on Sandstorm. But moving on with Sandstorm, let's take a look at his Dune Buggy mode. Before we do that, we gotta transform him into Dune Buggy mode. First, you want to remove the gun, just pops right out. And now is the tricky part. You want to take this piece, and you want to take this piece, and you want to unclip it from here, so this all swings back, and you should kind of let that loose for now. You want to unpeg his shoulder pieces, I should show this from the bottom, so they can slide up to this position here. You also want to flip out these windshields. So you want to flip out the windshields and fold these back. Now that's going to create the side of the vehicle mode. That needs to be clicked down in place, and this is going to go in very meticulously. So flip the window out, flip the door side panel out, bring this together, and bring this back. That needs to go down farther. Once you get this all kind of aligned, move on to the next step. That next step is folding in the landing gear. You want to take and split just the yellow part. Just the yellow parts back here need to split off. And one will go here. And you can see there's a peg and a hole that needs to line up. I must say this car mode is very meticulous. Would be a great word for it. So you just gotta get this line. It's very hard to show on camera with all the added bits on the top. But once you get it in place, as you can see, I'm having issues with this, and it's probably my biggest complaint with the whole toy in general, is that the leg positions do not want to go together. There we go. I think we got it. These panels will rotate down and around to click and make this more solid. Again, VTOL's getting in the way. This needs to peg down in a very particular way. You fold this around, click that in place, fold this around, click that in place. Very sorry for how jumpy this is. And you want to bring that down and close it around, finishing off the transformation with a gun on the top. And now we got Sandstorm's Dune Buggy mode. And I'm going to further make a point. If it wasn't obvious in the video, the leg portion of the transformation, this is on both Springer and Sandstorm. If the ratchet joints aren't placed perfectly, you can misalign the toy very easily, and you'll have a very difficult time trying to complete the transformation. Which you may have noticed this already. Springer, don't roll on there. He has very big back wheels. Now, I'm going to get this out of the way. The reason these are so big is because he's a dune buggy. He's meant to go over big sand. And your back wheels don't have to turn, and therefore provide all the momentum for, riding on sand. By the way, that keeps coming unpegged. So because of this, you don't need the front wheels to really be that big. You can just have all your forward momentum coming from your back wheels. It also brings it and gives it a completely different look than the car mode of Springer. Now, before we look at the Springer comparison, let's take a look here. These grill pieces are very nice. You can see it makes up a nice dune buggy grill. You got a cannon on top to shoot things. You add these nice side windows from the orange piece, which was the tail rotors. And these were the VTOLs. If you didn't catch it in the transformation, I thought that was really clever how they did that. And so it does provide a vehicle mode that still rolls, and that's really impressive, I think. So looking at Springer, since I kind of teased him already, now Springer's supposed to be a sports car. So it's not supposed to be so big. Now my Springer does have a bit of a gap issue at times. But you may have noticed the biggest thing with Sandstorm is that all this area is filled in. Springer feels very gappy, and there's not much you can do to fix it. Because you can't bring these any closer. They won't work that way. And so he does have these two gaps. But other than that, he's a pretty flawless car mode. He rolls. And he does have the cannon, and the sword does have storage on the bottom. Sandstorm doesn't have any of these problems. Yes, the transformation is a hassle, but that's something that's kind of unavoidable with this. It could have used a little bit better engineering. But other than that, Springer has a gappy car mode in the front. Sandstorm does not. That's a wonderful thing. And it's because these pieces don't move, I think. And so they're able to get closer. And that's really nice, because I have not found a way for Springer to get a better front end. Looking at them from the side, you can see that Sandstorm is raised off the ground, and that's pretty cool because it gives them a different look. You can tell that these are supposed to be based on the same toy, but they're completely different toys. They transform the same, and they have the same similar vehicle modes. But other than that, they're two completely different toys. But if I were to say one was better than the other in terms of vehicle modes, I'm going to go with Sandstorm. He's so concise, and there's no gap issues. So, what do I think of Sandstorm overall? Without taking into account that this is a remold of a very good toy, Sandstorm is a very good toy. I own Springer and Sandstorm, yet I do not feel like I own the same toy twice. Sandstorm does so much different with the transformation that he is not just a simple repaint or retool. He is an entirely new toy. His transformation is different for the helicopter mode. There was a lot of new bits, especially with the backpack, that I am very impressed with this. And I hope that this is a sign that when Hasbro does make two figures out of one mold, that they will do something cool like this. This is what I'm hoping is the future of Transformers repaints and remolds. I am so impressed with this, and I'm so impressed with Springer, that it's kind of sad that Blitzwing is not as good. Because honestly, if Blitzwing just had a few minor alterations, he would be great. But, unfortunately, Blitzwing doesn't. This does not discount Blitzwing, and this is not a review of Blitzwing, so I don't really care to talk about Blitzwing. But if you're on the fence of buying Sandstorm, here's my advice. To those of you that own Springer, don't be afraid that you're just buying Springer a second time. He's a brand new toy. To those of you that don't like the character of Springer, but like the character of Sandstorm, by all means, get Sandstorm. And if you're on the fence about whether to get Springer or Sandstorm, just ask yourself, do I want a complete Season 3 Autobot collection with Springer and Sandstorm? Because you really got to get both. And the case of this is that the mold is so good that owning two of the mold, with a ton of remolds on Sandstorm's part, is not a bad thing at all. And I must say that if you are a G1 collector, or not a G1 collector, but a G1 Classics collector, it is definitely something I believe you should have in your collection, is having both of them. I don't mind having repaints and remolds when they're this good, because when they're this good, you don't think you're owning the same toy twice, and therefore it has succeeded in its job. So in the decision between Springer or Sandstorm, I say get them both. They're awesome. But if you only have the money for one and you see them in the stores, get Sandstorm, because Springer is shipped out in 2 assortments, actually 3 assortments of cases, and Sandstorm's only shipped out in the 1 so far. So, that is all for Generation Sandstorm. What else will I have to review next? Will it be another Transformer? Will it be a Power Rangers item? Will it be a new DC toy? That will all be decided next time. So be sure to stay tuned for more Transformers reviews and other cool stuff. Be sure to check out HeroTaku.com for all your Transformers news and more. And until next time, saying goodbye.